Hello and welcome back to the Herefordshire Gardener channel. My name's Aaron, and in this video I'd like to show you my David Austin rose room during spring this year. Spring has got to be one of my favourite times of the year, when the cold depths of winter dissipate and the warmer, longer days of spring arrive. There's an absolute avalanche of colour at the moment in the spring garden, from crocuses to hyacinths, primulas and daffodils. I've dotted these spring favourites throughout this entire room, so there's interest in every single corner. The sweet scent wafting through the air and the sound of buzzing bees is a delight for the senses. The first rose as you enter this quarter of the rose room is Charles Darwin. If you're interested in these willow rose ring supports that you can see, please check out one of my earlier videos. As you can see, Charles Darwin has received a spring prune recently and has also had a generous feed. Hopefully he'll tower up these willow rings in no time at all. I've tried to create as much interest in these borders as possible, such that throughout the rose season there'll always be something coming in. So here you can see alliums, foxgloves, echeleia, and then some of my favourites like Verbena bonariensis. I've also included Rose campion, which is a wonderful perennial plant, masses and masses of flowers. I combined my Bathsheba roses last year with Clematis Hagley hybrid, and I just love this combination. It's like a living bouquet. So this year I've combined each rose with its own clematis. Charles Darwin, for example, has been paired with Clematis ashva. I think this colour combination is going to look wonderful. Each rose and post is spaced approximately 2.5 metres apart, and between them there are many different plants that I've put into the bed. So for example, we have forget-me-nots for some early spring season interest. There are aqualegias which should follow on shortly after. I've got one of my favourites, Brunera Jack Frost. I just love those leaves, they look incredible. And then we've got other bulbs such as muscari, which should hopefully provide a pop of colour in the spring season, and the pale-eyed yellow grass for a little bit later on. To help gel everything together and provide a pop of colour, I've used many types of hardy geranium. Another firm favourite of mine has got to be the lamb's ear with its soft, furry leaves. This one takes me back to my childhood. I wanted to use chives this year, and so I've dotted these around the borders as well. I successfully managed to dig up and divide a lot of my Iris siberica plants, and I've dotted these again throughout the borders between each post, so there's a sizable clump. My hope is that come Iris season, the whole borders will be alight with purple. I chose many different types of tulips in the borders, if I'm being honest. I couldn't even remember where I've put which one, so it should be a nice surprise seeing what comes through. I've also included perennials such as lupins, which I just think look amazing with their tall spires surrounded by many bumblebees. So moving down the border towards the next rose, as you can see we've got alliums. Those are the bluey green leaves that you can see popping up with the tulips. The mound or bush in the middle is the Iris siberica. Then you can see the next post with the willow hoops. And this is, of course, the Lady of Shallot, an absolutely amazing rose from David Austin. These roses were all planted in the new beds about 10 months ago, so they've had a full season essentially to root out and put on a little bit of growth. I think they've done quite well so far. I've decided to pair Lady of Shallot with Clematis Sunset. Hopefully this combination will work quite well. As you can see, the clematis are budding out already. We've had quite a warm spring this year, and so there's lots of growth on the top and also new shoots from down below. These colour combinations are really exciting. Another perennial I've included in the border is toad flax, and yes, if left to go to seed this will spread, but it's so pretty. Moving further down this bed, we've got the Queen of Sweden. This is an absolutely delightful rose. Very tall, upright stems. Already, as you can see, reaching far up towards the second willow hoop support. I think Queen of Sweden this year is probably going to make it to the top of this particular support structure. All of the roses have not long since been pruned, and as you can see, they're already budding out, sending out new shoots, new growth, which all looks really healthy. I've paired Queen of Sweden with Clematis Daniel de Ronda, which has huge blooms. I think this colour combination looks beautiful together. Moving towards the corner of this section of the room, we've got Gentle Hermione by David Austin. This is another fabulous rose with an amazing fragrance. This rose was tiny when first purchased last year, and already we've got some really good, thick, strong stems coming up from the base, and you can see she's already starting to bud out. I've continued the pattern of companion planting throughout this entire bed. This is a view looking down the bed towards the roses that we've just walked past. As you can see, the companion plants are dotted around in almost a random naturalistic pattern to hopefully please the eye. Gentle Hermione has been paired with Clematis Henryi, who you can see is already budding out. We've got new buds developing on last year's growth, as well as new stems growing from the ground. I've already pruned most of my clematis down to around about 12 to 18 inches from the ground, and this just helps keep them full at the base. Continuing further around the bed, we've got the wonderful Desdemona. The stems are still quite short on this rose, but I'm hopeful that this year we'll see Desdemona reach higher and higher and hopefully fill out some of these willow rings. Desdemona has been paired with the wonderful Clematis Josephine. Moving further around the room, we've got Gabriel Oak by David Austin. This rose didn't do as well for me last year, and I attribute that to actually moving the rose during the summer. I'd put the rose in the wrong location, and although it still flowered, I just don't feel it did as well as all of the other roses. It's looking good this year. Gabriel Oak's had a good spring prune and a feed. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it will bounce back and fill this space with those amazing, vibrant blooms. I've paired Gabriel Oak with Clematis Anna Louise, and I feel that the magenta stripe on Anna Louise will pair really well with the magenta colour of Gabriel Oak. I've also included some Dutch iris down the main central aisle, just to add a bit of extra interest. I've managed to include perennial cornflowers with their wonderful purple pineapple shaped blooms. The next rose moving around the border is the wonderful, delightful Emily Bronte. This is an incredible rose. Just look at that button centre. Wonderful, wonderful fragrance. And as you can see, my Emily Bronte, look at all those canes. Put on so much growth since last year. And this is with a prune, so there was quite a lot more height on this rose until recently. Emily has been paired with Clematis Crystal Fountain. I think these two will hopefully complement one another. Look at all those new basil stems from Clematis Crystal Fountain. Amazing. And finally, the last rose in this particular quarter of the room is the Mill on the Floss. All of these are David Austin roses. This rose really impressed me from planting last year. Just put on tons and tons of growth. And although this rose is only meant to reach about 4 to 4.5 feet, I would say it's definitely a lot taller than that. I'm nearly 6 foot, and one of the tallest canes was arching over me, put it that way. This particular rose really shows you what you can do with these willow rings. So there are several canes on this shrub, the tallest which I've managed to wrap around the upper willow ring. When you bend a stem to more than 45 degrees, it encourages the sleeping buds to wake up, and that causes this sort of picture. Lots of buds breaking out, and hopefully that will mean tons and tons of flowers a little bit later down the line. The mill on the floss has been paired with Clematis Kingfisher. Hopefully this purple and the light pink will combine quite nicely. That completes this quarter of the rose room. I hope that you've enjoyed exploring these spring borders with me as much as I've enjoyed sharing them with you. I'm going to be doing regular video updates throughout this entire year, so hopefully you'll be able to join me on this wonderful journey to see how these beds change with the coming weeks and months. And of course, the David Austin roses will hopefully be singing at the end of May, start of June. It has been an absolute labour of love working on this room, and I've been out in all weather types, but I'm starting to see some of the fruits of my labour now, and I just can't wait to see what's to come. Thanks again for watching. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel for more updates and exciting videos like this one.